Okay, so I'm Andy Swift. I'm a radiologist in Sheffield, and I'm heavily involved with the pulmonary hypertension research and clinical work in Sheffield. And more recently, I've got more involved with the use of artificial intelligence in radiology and how it can improve our practice. Okay, yeah. So the questions I'm going to be answering today have come from members of the Pulmonary Hypertension Association who've had questions about the use of artificial intelligence. So hopefully I can answer a few of them today. So artificial intelligence in healthcare is a way that computers can be used to replicate what we do as humans, particularly replicating human tasks. So for a few examples, there's ways of using artificial intelligence in medical imaging by using it to replace some of the drawings we make it on the images, or try to make a diagnosis from the images. Other aspects, it could be used on use larger data to try and make predictions, to look for patterns in the images that could to make diagnoses. Also, potential future use in drug discovery by looking at the patterns in larger data, particularly genetic data, to try and identify new treatment targets. Two examples I can think of are Google Maps, which everyone's become heavily reliant upon, uses artificial intelligence to navigate you where you need to go, and also facial recognition, which looks at images and can automatically recall what your image should look like, and that's used in security, etc. Okay, I think early diagnosis is a particularly interesting area for artificial intelligence, because we know that pulmonary hypertension has quite a non-specific presentation, and that leads to a late delayed diagnosis quite commonly, and we know that early treatment is better for patient outcomes. So the use of artificial intelligence can be to automatically analyze images, for instance, in my area, medical imaging, to automatically identify patterns that we might miss as radiologists at an early stage, or when pulmonary hypertension isn't the condition that's on people's minds, because it's a slightly rarer condition to some of the more common things that we're trained to look for. Also, artificial intelligence can be used to analyze text. So using natural language processing, it could review a lot of the text reports from different investigations and from the clinical histories to identify patterns that might lead to the suspicion of pulmonary hypertension earlier than it is with existing technology. So I think it's very promising for early diagnosis. So I think to try and use artificial intelligence for drug discovery and potentially for a cure, I think the use of artificial intelligence to analyze much larger data and sort of deeper, richer data from patients, such as their genetic data and all their sort of serological tests, combined with the imaging, can get a more detailed picture of their condition, and I think that can really help with drug discovery and also selection for trials. So I think artificial intelligence can be used to free up time potentially by removing a lot of the tasks that we do that take quite a lot of time. So for instance, in radiology, consultants even spend quite a lot of time making measurements on images, drawing pictures on images, drawing round structures, and that can potentially, when we're doing a cardiac MRI scan, for instance, can take 20-30 minutes per case, and that time could be freed up for other activities. I think a lot of the paperwork tasks in medicine could be reduced and allow medics more time to engage with patients. There definitely are some potential risks. For the first thing I'd say is that artificial intelligence tends to be the result of how it's been trained. So the artificial intelligence really is a product of exactly the training data that's been given, and it will work within that remit. So it's not doing anything special that's beyond the training data that's been used to make the algorithms. But that said, if the training data is different to the exact patient who is presenting to clinic, then it might not perform perfectly, because it's been designed to work for those patient populations. So I think some inherent biases would need to be looked at and considered when you're rolling them out, to make sure they're very generalizable, meaning that they can work in lots of different populations and try and work for everybody. Some people worry a little bit about privacy because it's seeing very, very large amounts of data from individuals. Maybe that could be pieced together to try and identify individuals, but the way that the ethics committees and the way that with governance, it's ensured that only that the data that's used for training is fully anonymized, so that shouldn't be an issue. Then one potential risk relates a bit back to talking about Google Maps, for instance. So that because everyone is now so familiar and uses Google Maps so much, everyone then forgets how to read a map. So it could be that if we become over-reliant on some of these artificial intelligence tools, whether it's for doing low-level tasks like making the drawings or for making diagnoses, we must still maintain a level of practice that we can still understand why that person has that condition, and the AI is just an aid rather than de-skilling us in medicine. But overall, I would indicate that the potential advantages far outweigh the risks. Benefits for more efficient healthcare, better early diagnosis, and better treatments. I would say no, that human contact wouldn't be lost. I think I would like to envisage AI as being a support for the medics to improve efficiency, and I don't envisage AI making decisions where there isn't some human insight and some clinical oversight. So I would see it as a way of, in radiology, for instance, as it being like a second reader. You have an extra radiologist with you who's spotting lots of things, and you have that opportunity to consider what that other radiologist is saying and make your own final decision. Computers and artificial intelligence won't ever be able to replace the human intuition. They're trained using training data to make certain decisions, so they don't have sort of the thoughts and feelings that humans do. So they could never really take over from human physicians and human radiologists making decisions. So artificial intelligence is already being used in healthcare, and that's usually currently for those like lower level tasks we're talking about, like making measurements and making drawings on images, and to some degree as being a second reader in imaging investigations. But it's still very much in its infancy in very sort of discrete areas, but I think in the coming years it will become much more prevalent. I think it's useful having patients involved in all of the studies which are ongoing and future trials to understand their acceptability, the acceptability of the AI. From speaking to patients, they, generally speaking, are quite positive about the use of artificial intelligence, which might improve the efficiency of healthcare. There will be a need to validate the use of AI in diagnostics, in radiology, in medicine, and to make sure that it works in the different patient populations, also on different types of imaging investigations, different hospital systems, and yeah, to be sure that that there is a positive benefit in terms of whether it's the time saved to improve efficiency, which is a big deal at the moment with the NHS, and to show the benefits in terms of early diagnoses and treatments in prospective trials to make the point. And then once those have been done, the rollout will be much faster. In conclusion, the take-home message is that artificial intelligence has great potential to have real positive impact in healthcare. It's not scary. It'll very much likely to improve the efficiency of the hospitals, and definitely do get involved if you have the opportunity.